The thing Trump least wanted Jimmy Kimmel to say at the Emmy Awards was not about the Epstein files. It was not about the suspension. It was not about the $16 million settlement, the Sinclair demand list, the FCC pressure, or the Windsor Castle cancellation post. It was 4 words, delivered from a stage in Los Angeles on a Sunday evening in September 2025 into a microphone in front of television's largest industry audience 48 hours after the President of the United States had posted that Kimmel was next to go in the untalented late-night sweepstakes. He said, and he deserves it. Those 4 words, appended to "I love giving him a little poke," are the most expensive 4 words in the documented history of the Trump-Kimmel relationship. Not because they were the sharpest thing Kimmel has said about Trump, because they were said from an Emmy stage holding a 4th Emmy at the specific moment when the president had publicly declared him finished, next, gone. The Emmy was real. The stage was real. The 4 words were real. The next-to-go post was 11 days old. That is the complete architecture of the moment. No commentary required. But the story of how that moment arrived and what it produced in its aftermath is the story of a year-long documented pressure campaign that the Emmy acceptance speech was the most visible data point of, not the beginning and not the end. The first line of the campaign was in August 2025. Trump posted, "The word is, and it's a strong word at that, Jimmy Kimmel is next to go in the untalented late-night sweepstakes." He said it the week after Colbert's cancellation was announced. He said it with the specific forward energy of a man who has just watched a strategy produce a result and is announcing publicly that the strategy will now be applied to the next target. He said, "I hope I played a major part in it." The Emmy was awarded on September 7th. Trump had posted on August 28th. The Emmy voters had submitted their ballots in July. The timeline of these 3 dates is the inventory of how the Emmy came to mean something beyond itself. A recognition submitted before the threat was posted, awarded after the threat was posted, accepted with 4 words that place the threat and the award in the same sentence. He said it the way he says the things he means most. Quickly, cleanly, without the comedic infrastructure of a setup and a punchline. He said, "I love giving him a little poke." He said, "The audience seems to enjoy it." He said, "And he deserves it." He held the Emmy. He looked at the room. He walked off. Trump posted within the hour. He did not post about the Emmy specifically. He posted about Kimmel's show ratings, Kimmel's talent, Kimmel's future at ABC, the unfairness of award shows, the bias of television, and the general decline of late-night programming. 6 posts. None of them said Emmy. None of them said, "And he deserves it." All of them were running beside the clip of the 4 words in every thread by midnight. 11 days later, the suspension. The suspension ran 6 days. Kimmel returned September 23rd to 626 million viewers. By November 20th, Trump had resumed posting about Kimmel's firing. The same demand, the same language, the same "get the bum off the air" instruction delivered from the same residence to the same broadcaster who had now watched the same campaign produced 2 results. The Emmy, it failed to prevent, and the return broadcast, it failed to prevent. Kimmel addressed it on November 20th with the specific economy of a man who has decided the full documentation deserves exactly 1 sentence per item. He said, "You've done this before." He said, "You tried to get me fired in September." He said, "It didn't work." He said, "Mr. President," he paused, "I admire your tenacity." The room laughed for 6 seconds. He waited. He said, "I'll go when you go." 5 words, even. The pacing of a man saying something he has been waiting to say in exactly this context. Not angry, not defiant in the theatrical sense, in the flat forensic register of a man placing a condition on the public record that he intends to meet. He said it once. He did not elaborate. He moved on. Trump's response came the following morning. He was on Air Force One. A reporter asked him about Kimmel's statement. He said, "Quiet, piggy." 2 words on Air Force One from a man responding to "I'll go when you go" with "quiet, piggy." The specific physics of a response that contains more information about the relationship than the statement it was responding to, not because it is cruel, though it is, but because it is the response of a man who had spent a full year posting about a comedian's irrelevance from a position of the highest office in the world, and, when given the opportunity to respond to the comedian directly, produced 2 words that could not be repeated in a morning briefing without illustrating exactly the dynamic Kimmel had been documenting since September. Kimmel used it the following night. He said, "The president called me a pig from a government aircraft." He said, "I want to be clear about what Air Force One is." He said, "It is a taxpayer-funded aircraft, maintained at public expense, deployed for the conduct of official government business." He said, "The president used it to call a late-night host a pig." He said, "I'm not offended by that." He said, "I'm just noting that we are all paying for the aircraft that delivered the insult." The room laughed. He waited. He said, "Also." He reached for the desk, the slow adjustment of a man retrieving something he has placed there for exactly this moment. He said, "I want to make him an offer." He said, "The president has mentioned several times that he'd like my awards." He said, "I would like to make that happen." He said, "Mr. President, take my Emmy, take my Writers Guild Award, take the People's Choice Award if you can find a frame that fits." He said, "All I ask in return is that you pull ICE out of Minneapolis." The room broke. He waited for the full laugh. He said, "That is a fair trade." He said, "You get the hardware. The people of Minneapolis get to go to work without federal agents waiting outside their children's schools." He said, "That seems like a good deal for both of us." He set the page down. He looked at the camera. He said, "The White House has already responded to this offer." He said, "They called me a no-talent loser with horrific ratings." He said, "Which I take as a rejection." He said, "The offer remains on the table." He said, "The Emmy is right here." He patted his desk. He said, "It's not going anywhere." He said, "Neither am I." He said those 4 words again, not, "and he deserves it," the ones from the Emmy stage. He said, "Neither am I." Quiet. Even. The voice of a man who has been told he is finished 11 times across 14 months by the most powerful person in the country, and has responded each time not with defiance, not with performance, not with the theatrical posture of someone fighting back, but with the flat documentary precision of someone showing up, holding a printed page, and saying the next thing. The inventory of what Trump had tried: FCC pressure, Sinclair demand list, 6-day suspension, Windsor Castle cancellation post, get the bum off the air posts, Air Force One pig comment, White House no talent loser statement, FCC Brendan Carr coordination, ABC settlement leverage. The inventory of what it had produced: the Emmy, the 6.26 million viewers, the 16-point polling lead, the most watched Kimmel episode in 10 years, and a desk at the El Capitan Theater with an Emmy sitting on it that had been awarded 10 days after the president said it wouldn't be. Neither am I. Trump posted 4 times before midnight. He said the Emmy was rigged. He said award shows were a joke. He said Kimmel's ratings were bad. He said the whole thing was fake. Each post was placed beside the Emmy, and the 4 words in every thread. The ratio of posts to hardware, 4 posts, 0 hardware, was placed without annotation in every thread that ran them together. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications. The next confrontation is already building, and once you see what's coming, you'll understand why silence is always louder than power.